You're on.
So I was desperate to get sober. I didn't know what to do. People told me about Alcoholics Anonymous. I went into the rooms, and there's these banners up on the wall. One says 12 steps and 12 traditions. The other one says, well, that's what one says is 12 steps, one says 12 traditions. And I'm reading them, and that second one, it said, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And I'm like, oh, that's bringing up that God thing. Oh, I don't know about that God thing. And insanity? Am I insane? I don't think I'm insane, but maybe I am. I don't know. I didn't know what to think. And, this is what I see a lot of people. They walk into the rooms and they don't know about that God thing. And we're going to kind of talk about that. Now, before we go on, I'm going to say that we don't speak for AA. We're just going to tell you what our experience with step two is today and just kind of how it works in our lives. And this is a step. There's these 12 principles with Alcoholics Anonymous, and each step is associated with a principle. And the principle with step two is hope. And I'm going to read it again one more time. It's came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And that if we look at this step, it's about letting go. And as far as I'm going to accept help from somebody else, somebody that knows what they're talking about. For me, when I first came into the room, step two was about giving it up to these people that are sober, as far as giving up what I've been doing to try to stay sober, which wasn't working, to these people that are sober and what is working. And it was really that simple. At that time, my higher power was the people in the rooms, really. And as far as a God is concerned and all that, it just didn't matter. It was about letting go and being open minded to what other people were doing to get sober, even if that's not AA, if it's just going to recovery meetings and for doctors or our program, talksober.com, whatever. It's letting go and trying to follow what other people are doing that's helping them get sober. And so that's what started me on the road to recovery. It wasn't everything that I had to do, but that was a big thing. And that's what we try to talk about here at Talk Sober is just trying to change our mindset. When I was drinking, everything, my mind was completely closed off to what other people would tell me that would work. And everything, everybody, everything was against me. And when I got sober, I was able to start to open up and let go and surrender to this disease. Just understand that I had a disease. So, how you doing, Marcus?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, my experience was different. A lot of you guys know I used to be a preacher in the old days when I was in my teens and 20s, and I was pretty staunch religious, you know, Baptist kind of preacher person. And we'd preach on the street corner and yell at people, tell them they're going to hell and everything. And, some people didn't like that, which was interesting. And fast forward a couple years later, I wasn't really very religious. I mean, I had my family and I was doing my stuff with my kids and my wife and, just kind of living life and everything like that until I became an alcoholic. When I became an alcoholic, I was at the absolute worst point in my life. Like I didn't want to be around anymore. I just did not like life at all. And I thought things would be better without me. And so I started to live this dream life of what I thought life was about. And by dream, I actually mean nightmare. And when I got sober, I remember for about a year and a half, I tried to get sober and it didn't work. Nothing worked. And so when I finally got sober, and I found myself in a mental hospital, I kind of went back to the thoughts of the God that I believed in before when I was preaching. And that did help me for a little bit as a crutch because I didn't know what to turn to. People were like, oh, your higher power can be a doorknob. And I'm like, okay, that seems a little silly because the doorknob is actually lower than me. I think, I have to reach down to turn it. So I'm not actually exalting a doorknob. And so all these things started to happen and I didn't know where to turn, so I naturally went back to what I thought was right and what I thought was true. And so I started getting into it. I remember I took my Bible with me to rehab and started to understand things. And, the AA literature and everything, it was founded on a fundamentalist Christian organization. Like that's where the roots came from. That doesn't mean that that's who they are or who you have to be. The founders are long gone, and now it's probably more of a social organization than religion. And so we start to look at it and we start to understand exactly what's going on. And when I used that as a crutch, it kind of helped me through the first part of rehab because I didn't know. I was really,
Yeah.
it was like learning to live again. And so I'd kind of rely on it, and I kind of was like, okay, well, this is what it is, and this is what we try to do. And so my higher power at that time was the God that I used to preach for or about or whatever you want to call it. Later down the road, 3 months, 6 months into sobriety, I started listening to different talks and started understanding, hey, wait a minute, there's different things out there. Hey, wait a minute, everything I thought before I got sober was pretty much shattered. Like all my wise decisions and all my beliefs and everything were completely shattered. And I had to sit there when I was in the mental facility and say, I don't know anything. I don't know if my opinions on God are right or wrong. I mean, there's how many opinions about God in the world? Like probably a couple billion. I didn't know if my ideas about business and life and family were right. I had to completely do an about face 180 and be like, okay, the life that I thought I was pompous about, the life that I thought I was prideful about, really led me to nothing. So all my best efforts led me to sitting in a mental hospital. And then I started to realize, wait a minute, all these things I struggle with, like identity. Who am I? What do I want to accomplish? What's my lot in the world? What do I do? How do I live? What do I think about religion? What do I think about philosophy? And luckily for me, I found philosophy, which I think is good because it's a study of everything. It's like, what do you think this is? What does this mean? And so I started to look into philosophy, a lot of Eastern philosophy, which is interesting because here in America, we're very go, 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 buy, 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 consume, 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 be the top badass person you can be. And that is what led me to the mental hospital because I tried to do that and it didn't work. And so I used God as a crutch for a little bit. And then I started looking at philosophy and I started realizing that I don't know anything. Like I can think the Bible is true, but like we've really only had the Bible for 400 years since the printing press. And who decided what books went where? And who decided this? And so my higher power started to morph into, well, I don't know what a higher power is, but I know it's not me. Right? And so I had to look at that and say, well, I don't know who or what God is, but I had to say it's not me. And one of the things that really, really helped me was looking at the fact that, one, I'm not God, because we all are self-absorbed and we all think we're God. Like, think about it. You look at your thoughts. The scientists say we have 60,000 thoughts a day. 59,999 are about me. And the other one is about me too, because I think about what I'm going to eat for lunch or whatever. And so we think about this and our thoughts are all about us. And I had to realize that I am in line on Earth with 8 billion other people. Yeah, I'm special. Yeah, my stuff's important. Yeah, my life is this. Yeah, I want this. Yeah, I desire that. Just like 8 billion other people. And once you realize that, yeah, your parents were right, you're special. And then you add just like 8 billion other people. Then you realize that your higher power, even if you were a very religious person and you look at, oh, I know who God is. And there's a phrase that I kind of coined in my brain once I got sober, and that was, the minute you tell me and you know who God is, that's the minute you have become him. Because if you can sit there and say, this is who God is, this is what he likes, this is what he doesn't like, these are his rules, here's his book, here's his building over here on 5th Street, not the church over there, no, the one on 5th Street is where he's at, then you've become him because you put more rules on God than God could put on himself. And once we start to realize that and we open up to the humility of, I don't know, then the higher power for me became, it ain't me. I don't know who it is. It ain't me. And I don't think it's any other person because we're all the same. We're all equal. Like, if you look at planet Earth, you say, oh, well, that guy's got $200 billion. Okay. Does that matter in space? Does that matter at the end of your life? Does that really matter? Well, here it matters. But in the grand scheme of things, you only think it matters because we've been taught to believe that. And when we look at what we're taught to believe about higher powers and God, we look at that and it's all conditioning, and we look at it as it's all agreements. People got together and said, we think this is how God is, and we all agree, therefore we're right. And I think that's hindering. What do you think about that stuff, Terry?
Well, I have to agree with you as far as it's not me, that's for sure. And that that's that gives me a lot of freedom. That opened things up for me. As far as letting go, I had to let go. Before I was sober, I thought I could do everything on my own. I thought I could control everything. And step two is not only hope, but it's humility and realizing that I am not able to do everything on my own, and that to get sober, I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need to follow what other people are doing,
Mhm.
and so that's kind of the way I approached it. Was just that I have to do what other people are doing. There's a second part of that step, and that's that our power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And I really didn't think I was insane, even though every single day I would walk down to the liquor store because I couldn't drive, wasn't allowed to drive, I should say. But I'd walk down there thinking this was going to be my last bottle, and then I'd do it again the next day. I mean, that's insane thinking. I did a lot of insane things when I was still drinking, but I didn't think I was insane. And when I was able to get sober, I had to stay sober to stay in sort of that same frame of mind.
Mm.
I mean, I still did some crazy things, of course, made some mistakes, things like that. But I tried to start to work towards a little bit more sane actions through my life. And that helped me a lot. Um, as far as a higher power goes, I have developed some faith over time in my sobriety. And it doesn't, for me, it doesn't really matter as far as what a person's faith is, whether they're super religious, not religious at all. Anybody can get sober, no matter where they are on that spectrum of faith. It's just a matter of, as far as these steps are concerned. For step one, we had to completely surrender. We had to get honest with ourselves. We had to realize that we were alcoholics and we couldn't control it anymore. And on step two, we had to turn it over and realize that we're going to need help. And we need help to get out of that alcoholic thinking, which when you develop that alcoholism and it's ruling your life, that's insanity because we keep trying to do things that aren't working to get sober. And that's what I had to realize. The rest of the steps kind of go on it, and they each have a principle involved with them, and we'll get into those in the next few weeks. But this is a big step for a lot of people as far as learning to let go. That was probably the hardest thing for me, is to realize that I can't do this by myself. I'm gonna need some help, and that's kind of the way I approached this step when I first started. And the sobriety, we kind of grow in sobriety, and things like these steps are going to look a little different as we get along in our sobriety. So yeah, that's kind of my take on that.
It's interesting too because when you talk about the letting go, that was a big thing for me um, in non sobriety because I thought that I controlled a lot more than I did.
Right.
When in actuality, it's like, it's funny because you look at things in life and some things you work really hard at controlling and making the way you want. But in actuality, sometimes it's almost the same as if you did nothing. So with sobriety, we look at it and we're like, okay, if I'm trying to control my drinking, which does not work for alcoholics, doesn't work, just does not work. It's a chemical issue. It's like saying, hey, this guy's allergic to chicken. You give him chicken, he breaks out. Well, I'm going to have moderate chicken. Well, you might break out moderately, but eventually you're going to go to the hospital. That's what's going to happen. If you're allergic to it, you're allergic to it. And with alcohol, we have a wiring in our system, or whatever you want to call it, where we can't stop. Might think we can, but why try it? Like the guy with chicken. I mean, I actually know someone who's allergic to chicken and he doesn't even touch it. Like we go to the restaurant or we're like, do you fry your chicken with your fries? Yeah. Okay. We're going to a different restaurant because he can't have it. He can't touch it. He can't look at it. And so the same thing with alcohol. I'm like, why would I want to mess with it? I mean, he could mess with it and be like, oh, well, let's try it. I've never had chicken before or whatever. It'd be silly. But why is it not silly when it comes to alcohol? Why with alcohol are we so different? Why does it matter so much? And why are we trying to control things? Because, let's face it, when I was in control of all my life and every little minute detail, I ended up in a mental hospital. So, I mean, what am I really giving up? I'm giving up the insanity of thinking I can handle everything and I control everything. And what it comes down to is really living life as it is. Take it as it comes instead of reacting to life as if it's something that's happening to you. Right? This is something that completely changes the way you think if you realize that, hey, wait a minute, life isn't happening to me. Life is not even happening for me. I know a lot of people are like, oh, life can happen for you. No, it doesn't. It just happens. Right? Like if you see a line of ants on the ground and you're like, oh, well, life happens for that one, but not the others. That would be preposterous. It just happens. You're just there. You're just part of it. And once we realize that, you're not that special. I mean, you're just as special as 8 billion other people. But once we realize that, that could either be damaging or it could be completely freeing. Because now I'm free to do what I want to do and be who I want to be. Because if I think I'm special, well, who are the people who told me I'm special? I got to live up to that. I got to be this certain person. Oh, hey, Marcus is the internet guy or the funny guy or the cook guy or whatever it is.
Apparently, I'm the chill guy.
The chill guy. Terry's the chill guy. And think about that. So, like, if we put that on Terry and Terry believes that, oh, man, I'm the chill guy. And one day I anger Terry, he's going to get mad at himself if he's not the chill guy anymore because now he believes he needs to live up to this thing. But if Terry says, hey, I'm just the guy. I'm just Terry. That's who I am. Sometimes I get mad. Sometimes I'm chill. Sometimes I laugh or whatever it is. We start to look at it and understand, hey, wait a minute. We can all be the chill guy. We can all just hang out and say, hey, this is how life's happening. This is what's going on. Here's what I'm going to do with it. Here's how I'm going to respond. Here I'm going to react. And I'm going to take time and say, hey, this is what I want to do.
I appreciate you guys saying that I'm such a chill guy. That's so funny. I am kind of, and part of it was my dad was one of the most mellow people I've ever met in my life. Just a calm guy. I think I saw him get angry twice in my life, and it was because of something I did, of course. But that's part of it. Another part was maybe. I've been a chef my entire life. It's an extremely high stress situation. And I learned early on that if you're going to get all stressed out in those high stress situations, things just get worse. So I learned to just stay calm because when you stay calm, you're more efficient, you're faster, and you can take care of things better. You have a clear head. And also, I remember in those restaurant environments getting into arguments with people. And I am a terrible arguer. I do not know I can't say the right thing. I say the wrong thing. And then later on, I'm like, oh, I should have said this and this and this. And I always lose those arguments. But one thing that actually Jiz said is maybe sobriety made him chill. This step right here, learning to let go and that life just happens and that I do not have control of everything, that gave me so much freedom. It made me so much calmer. The second part of that serenity prayer, control the things that I can. And that's the being able to not worry about those things that I can't control and being able to control the things that I can. That made a huge difference in my life. And obviously not drinking as well, because alcohol was controlling me. So that was big, and that still is. And just knowing that there's so much that I don't have control over, and that I can control certain things, that's big in my life, and that allows me to stay chill. And before we go on, I wanted to say congratulations on some amounts of sobriety. Grim, you had what, 10 months? That's awesome. And then Dave's got 8 months, and we've been seeing you guys here since before day one, right? And Sheeman, you were let's see, what do you got? 24 days? That's great. 34 days. That is huge, getting those first 30 days. And then Ed, you're on day one, man. And wrong, 10 and a half months. But and even though you're on day one, you can see that you can get sober, you can stay sober. These guys have done it, and I'm sure a lot of these guys and myself have struggled to get those days in a row sober. But just start building on them. Don't take a drink today, and don't worry about tomorrow right now. You can have a drink tomorrow, and then you get to tomorrow, don't have a drink today. You know what I'm saying? So just do that. You guys can get there. Congratulations.
Shamim says, things would really irritate me when I was drinking. Now I'm so chilled. Same with me. I used to get real excited about stuff, and now I'm like, it's going to be what it is. Pans out. Everything works out, Might not be ideal or the way that I want it, but again, that would be me trying to force things. And I think what you learn is that you can hustle and you can work and you can have you could do lots of things, but you could also be chill. Like, you don't have to get all excited about stuff. You just go do what you're going to do. And stop striving. There are some good things. We were talking about the Bible earlier. There are a few good things in the Bible where they talk about worry and stress and things like that. And so often we worry and stress about things that we have no control over. And that's why I love the Serenity Prayer, which comes from Stoic philosophy, actually. And, it's about accepting what I can't change. I can't change people. Like, how many of our stresses are about people? Can't change them. I can't change the fact that if I drink alcohol, I will probably be alcoholically drinking in no time. Can't change that. So what do? I adapt. I can't change the fact that, the world is the way it is, right? But I can look at the good. We can look at it and be like, oh, well, there's 5 bad people. And we could dwell on the 5 bad people, or we could be like, hey, there's 8 billion good people. Quite a few good people. And we start to change our lens and to pan out and look at life as a whole rather than how it's going to benefit us or how it's going to be for us or what we're going to get out of it. You start to look at it and say, hey, there's plenty for all of us. That's the funniest thing is, they talk about shortages on food and stuff. It grows out of the dirt. Like, it's literally free. Literally, it is free. But we have this system of money that was invented by man that says, 4 shillings is worth a cow. And, and now we look at cows as shillings, and it's completely made up. And this is what, there's a Bible verse that talks about, there's a bunch of people and they're like, oh, you're worshiping the creation rather than the creator. And you're worshiping a shadow of something rather than the thing. And I think this is what happens when we look at words and we look at our monetary system. It's all about labeling and putting something in a box, which makes us unable to experience it, right? And when we can't experience it, because now it's just, hey, that's 4 shillings or that's that, like stock market people that are like so into the stock market and they do it for a living, they don't think about people and effects and stuff. They say we're gonna invest in corn commodity. They're not even thinking about corn on the cob. It's just a letter on a screen that equals a number, right? And that's why things get backwards, because you're not they're not looking at things in a real world way, saying this affects people, right? Like there was some interesting study I did um, back in the Great Depression days, and it made me think about a study from the Bible. So there's this guy in the Bible, and he wakes up one day, and this guy comes to him and says, I have a dream that there's going to be a famine in our land. There's going to be a big famine. People are going to be hungry. And the king goes, oh, wait a minute. Let's go out there in the dirt and get all the food so that we don't have a famine. And they go out there and get all the food and put it in these silos. And then they're like, oh, well, what the hell? Don't you know it? There ain't no food here. There's a famine. Yeah, there's a famine because you went and dug all the food up. It's like people don't think about this. Oh, a sign from God that there's going to be a famine. Let's dig the dirt. Well, you just were a self-fulfilling famine maker, and it's interesting because that's how we live our lives so many times. We change things based on what we think, and then we go, oh, I see that happened that way. No, it didn't. If you didn't do anything, you'd probably be happier, and you wouldn't have gotten the downside of it. So hopefully that rambling makes sense to someone out there. I don't know.
No, that makes total sense to me. As far you bring that into drinking, and as far as that's concerned, I would have these problems that we're starting to build and build, and I'd say, well, I think this is going to happen. This bad thing is going to happen, and then I'd keep drinking, and the bad thing would happen. I'd be like, see, I knew it was going to happen. Well, that was because I kept drinking. I wasn't able to take care of these things because I was sitting on my butt, drinking, watching bad TV or whatever I was doing. I wasn't doing what some of you guys are saying. Grim says, day one, go fishing. Day two, go fishing. I should take up fishing. I see people pull out fish that are like 20 inches long from the river that's like 2 miles from my house. I should do that. But what I do is what David's saying. I walk out in nature every single day. I go on a hike out there right by the river and take my dog, and my wife goes with me, and it's wonderful. And that really helps with that chill factor. But but it's all about just accepting what's given to us, and that you were talking about gratitude a little bit earlier, and that's huge for me. I'm so thankful to be in a place like this. It's rained here and there. It's kind of cold. It was really cold yesterday. It was kind of amazingly cold. We've had some hailstorms. I can focus on that and just be like, dang it. Where I used to live, it was sunny and from April until October. Maybe one day of rain in that. No, it's beautiful here. It's green here. It's brown there. They don't have any water left. They're all concerned about stuff. So, gratitude is a big thing in sobriety. It's just being thankful for what we have. Eternal Cycle is saying, tomorrow I'm going to a festival and I'm already in a good mood, knowing that I will hear all bands with full consciousness and not be numbed by any drugs. Thanks for the motivation. And, I was worried about the first concert I went to after I got sober. And it's a band that there's drugs and alcohol all over the place. And they're kind of known for their concerts being that way. And I went sober. And, I got thirsty and I went and got a Coke. And it was fine. And I agree with what you just said. It was great being there and enjoying the music. I was actually wondering, am I going to enjoy this music not being drunk? But I did. It was great. And it was a good time. Life can just go on in sobriety as long as I don't take that drink. And that's what's important for me.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to help support the channel, support what we're doing, and get all kinds of tools and mindsets and all kinds of stuff to help you get and stay sober, go over to talksober.com, click the big yellow button like this. You can sign up for less than the price of a super cheap domestic drink a day. You can help support the channel and get all kinds of MP3s and tools and all kinds of stuff that Terry worked on and I worked on for you to help you be chill and understand that alcohol doesn't need to be a part of our life anymore. And I think the blessing comes when we start to realize that, the reason alcohol was part of our life is because there was a little dysfunction, there was some malfunction going on there. And now we can actually go through and learn a new mindset. And that's what this course is about. Over at talksober.com, go to Talk Sober, click the big yellow button, fill this out. You'll get instant access. You can cancel whenever you want. But for less than $1 a day, you can help out what we're doing here. We do really want to grow the channel, and we appreciate you guys and your help in doing that. Also, you could get a private sobriety call with Terry and myself. You can just click there, sign up for a call. We'll be on the call. We'll talk to you about whatever you want related to sobriety. Then there's some other free resources as well, our Facebook group, and all kinds of other stuff over at talksober.com. And again, if you do want to support the channel, use the yellow button, fill out the form. We'll see you on the inside over there. And hopefully you'll get some help to get you the mindset of sobriety, because I know a lot of people struggle with that. Remember, we're not doctors. We're not specialists. This is just our experience from the pits of the low to living a life that isn't crazy anymore, to living a life where we can be relaxed and calm and take things as they come and have a different outlook on life, which I think is helpful. So talksober.com, big yellow button, sign up. We'll see you in the course over there. There's like 30 MP3s and 30 MP4s and PDFs and worksheets and all kinds of stuff. Really good stuff there.
Yeah, this program, it goes over a lot of that mindset philosophy, and that was big for me in getting sober. I really had to change the way I think, and it wasn't just getting rid of the alcohol. I definitely had to stop drinking, but I also had to change that mindset. My thoughts were kind of in that negative zone there, and I was always thinking of how can I get this and get that. And this program really changed the way I look at things, and allowed me to start to realize what I already have and what I can do, and start to give me ways that I could start to develop my potential in life. I was always told, Terry, you have so much potential, and that's it. Not you've accomplished so much. You have so much potential, and that was kind of frustrating. And this program kind of gave me that mindset to realize that I can achieve my potential, or at least I can work towards it. And that's part of the fun, enjoying the journey of sobriety. So check it out.
Absolutely. Concerts are great sober. Absolutely. And they're so much less expensive. I mean, even buying, because we went to one the other, like last week, and it was outside in Florida and it was hot. And I mean, I was drinking those waters like they're going out of style. And you can't just get normal water. You have to buy some fancy water. But even at $5 a pop, it was still cheaper than what I would have spent on alcohol, which probably would have been up in the $200 range normally, which is cool because that means I get to go to more concerts, and I get to enjoy them. It's so much better. I love life sober. And I would hate to be one of those people who's like, I'm sober and I can't drink. I never look at it as I can't drink. I don't want to drink. The hell would I want to do that for? Like huge downside with tiny little upside, which I don't even need that upside anymore because I can relax and I can be chill. And I think that's what Terry found out and I found out is that all the effects that we had with alcohol were effects in our body because of the alcohol, which means those are in our body. So if you need to escape thoughts, there are ways to do that without drinking. You just got to practice it. It's a little bit more difficult because drinking's like, yeah, it'll clonk me out. But guess what? It's going to come back tenfold. And over time, what you're doing, see, alcohol keeps you in this repetitive cycle of never growing. Like Terry said, you're always potential. The potential of an alcoholic is astounding. What they actually do is jack shit. And when we understand that once we move out of relying on alcohol to help us with our thoughts and this and that, now we're building exponentially. You see, when I was drinking, when I first started, I dealt with things the same way as when I ended. It's like an 8-year period from when I started dabbling and drinking heavy to actually being a full blown alcoholic. So I didn't learn any new skills. I didn't gain anything. But when I got sober, I started to learn new skills, and now they compound on each other. And now I shock myself at some of the things I'm able to deal with. Like, wow, okay, I didn't lose my cool over that. I didn't flip out. It's not the end of the world. Now I'm able to do that, and I'm putting these skills in my future bank account. It's building and building and building bank account metaphorically of things that help me through life, tools that I use, and that's what the Talk Sober program is about, is giving you those tools, right? Because what you learn gives you options, but what you do keeps you sober. What you learn gives you options. You go, oh, well, I'm going to let go and let God, and I'm going to, give it to my higher power and whatever. It's cute and all, but I don't like cute. Cute doesn't get me sober. Cute is like they say on Seinfeld, serenity now, insanity later, right? That's what cute does. Give me some real tools that I can use that I can say, hey, what am I going to do other than just say let go and let God? And so that does help some people. It's cool. For me, I needed something less churchy and less bumper stickery. I needed something that was going to change the way I felt and thought now. And give me something that I can actually sink my teeth into and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to practice escaping my thoughts without a substance. I'm going to practice being angry without needing to drink. I'm going to practice doing this without needing that. And what happens is over time, it's like a muscle, which I'm still waiting to get some kind of muscles. I don't know. I guess I should probably work out if I want a muscle or two. But we realize that it strengthens over time. And that is the beauty of it. You're building and building and building.
Yeah, totally. In one of our days in our program, you were talking about, I think you were talking about an episode that your wife had, and that you were surprised at how calm you were when that happened.
Mhm.
And I totally related to that, because for me, I've had that happen many times in sobriety. But some of you guys have already talked about how you drank and you get angry, and that's kind of, I wasn't a super angry guy. I know that's a surprise, but I wasn't a super angry guy when I was drinking. But I would react to things, and I would react in a negative way, definitely, a lot more than I do now. And still, that can be an issue, but I'm a lot calmer now. And in sobriety, I've had some things happen, like with the dog. Like my dog, I remember he cut himself really, real bad on broken glass and mud and all that. And I've been able to react to these things calmly, not start panicking. It's like, what can I do? What can I do right now? What do I need to do right now? This is an emergency situation. Okay, I can do this and this and this. And that's happened several times in sobriety for me as well. And that's one thing that not just not drinking, but developing a sober mindset and following some sort of program that's going to get you into that sober mindset. That's the key for me for sobriety, is just being able to handle things in life, especially those difficult situations, but the happy situations too, like the concert, being able to go to a concert and truly appreciate it for what it is. So yeah, you were talking about the concert, and somebody mentioned something, but what I remember is when I was drinking at a concert, then it's over, and the concert venues are like the big one where I used to live is like 2 hours away, and it's 11 o'clock at night. I always wake up super early in the morning, no matter what. I'm all tired, had a couple drinks, and then got to drive home, falling asleep, driving, I'm trying to stay awake. Oh man! But then sober, concert sober, drive home. I mean, these are just one of the little benefits of not drinking. Is just being able to be there. And back to those emergency situations. I've had some things in the middle of the night where I got to get up and once again, I had a couple of very sick dogs in sobriety, and have to take the dog to the emergency vet in the middle of the night, and I'm able to just get up and, okay, let's go, let's do it, no problem. Yeah, I'm a little tired, but I'm good. And being able to take care of situations, take care of family, and that sort of things. And the benefits are just incredible. And I'm sure you guys can all relate to that. Even if you're not sober, I'm sure you can understand that those benefits are there, definitely.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I think that about wraps up step 2. I don't see any major pressing questions in the chat box. So yeah, if you guys do want to support what we're doing, if you appreciate this stuff, go over to talksober.com. Oh, I gotta shrink this down here. Here we go. Hold on one second. There we go. Go over to talksober.com. Fill out that. Go to the. Let me start over. Go to talksober.com. Click the yellow button. Fill out the form here. You'll get instant access to all the tools and stuff that we use to get and stay sober. Just fill this out. Name. Oh, come on. This thing's not working. There we go. Okay. Put your name, last name, email, all your info here. You can cancel whenever you want, and you'll get all kinds of tools, and you'll be able to support us and help what we're doing here. Once we get a few more people, we are going to add a private weekly call just for members. So if you want to be part of that, go ahead and sign up, and we'll get you guys rocking and rolling there, and you'll feel good knowing you're supporting our sobriety channel that does not work without you. So, cool stuff.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, all you regulars and new people. Appreciate you all being here.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.